What's going on, guys? This is Josh of the MMA Complex.
And I'm James.
Back with a brand new episode. It is, let's see, October 11th.
Yeah.
It's a Thursday. A lot has happened over the past, week since our last episode. UFC 229, and so much more. So let's get right into it. UFC 229 was this past weekend. Nurmagomedov, McGregor. Where do you want to start on this one?
We can start with the fight itself.
Let's start with the fight itself? Okay, we'll go with the card overall. We'll go with just the main card for right now. Michelle Waterson, Felice Herring kicked off the main card. That was a great fight. Michelle Waterson looked amazing.
Yeah, I've been really impressed. I think her first couple of fights in the UFC weren't that great, but I think she's picking up. I think the fact that she's active, and not taking fights every year, has helped her a lot.
It's helped her a lot.
She's looked really, really good. And Felice Herring, she is no joke. She's like one of the top contenders. Mm-hmm. And this is, I think, one of her first big tests in the UFC. She passed with flying colors.
Yeah, Michelle Waterson looked great. She looked fantastic.
She's so hot.
She looked hot.
Oh my god! Did you see the embedded promos leading up to that fight? Oh my god!
No, I didn't. Oh, maybe I caught one of them or two of them.
Jesus Christ! She was a star of that show.
But even in the cage, like I've always thought she was pretty, just never that into her. After that night, I was into her. I was like, oh yeah, you are fucking amazingly hot.
Yeah, because even sometimes a girl looks completely different when they fight because they have their hair braided or they're in their fight kits, but she looks pretty damn hot.
She looked pretty hot. Her eyes are like a light brown.
That smile, fucking
smile. The body, the thighs.
Didn't you see the husband? He's like, you would think she'd find something better, no?
He's not I think she's above his level, but I mean, yeah. I think he's in the corner, right?
Maybe I'm just fucking jealous. I don't know.
I think that's a big part of it is jealousy.
But a good win for her.
It's a good one. He's a Latino guy, though.
Yeah, so there you go. We snatch one, you guys.
Yeah,
fuck yeah.
But she looked great. I mean, in the cage and physical appearance, I mean, damn, she looked good. So good.
Really impressive win.
The fight was entertaining. Kicked off the main card. Was entertaining. Sometimes I like watching the fights with casual fans. To see the reaction. Yeah, to see the reaction. I get off on people's reactions to the fights. And if it's a boring fight or a shitty fight, I feel like shit. I feel like I feel like I'm I talked this fight up so much, and then it's
damn you.
I'm like, god damn it, Francis against Ngannou. Or no, Derek Lewis against Ngannou.
Well, even the Derek Lewis fight here, I was pumped up, and then I go,
yeah, even this one, I was like, come on, Derek.
But I mean. Yeah. At the end, so it was what bad. And that's the second fight, actually.
That's the second fight. That's the next one. So Derek Lewis against Alexander Volkov. That was it was entertaining, but it was also I'm looking at Derek Lewis and I'm like, again, we're gonna see a repeat of the Ngannou fight. Before you use the back as an excuse, and I get it, but you jump right into this fight and you're almost delivering the same performance. I'm like, you're not. Something's going on.
Yeah, Volkan had a lot of chances to win that fight.
A lot.
I blame a lot on him. I mean, he lost that fight himself.
Yeah.
He had chances. All he had to do was survive that last round. He would have been a clear victor in that fight.
Just keep your distance.
He got lazy. He got lazy. He hit and he got caught.
Yeah.
And fortunately for Derek Lewis, he got that knockout that he needed bad. But I think Volkan has to go back with his head down because all he had to do was, avoid him, and then he would have won that fight.
That was a big missed opportunity by him.
And now you see Derek Lewis going to fight for the title, so
yeah,
he must be really kicking himself after that performance.
Big missed opportunity. Volkov most likely probably would have got the title shot afterwards, even though he doesn't have a whole lot of momentum behind him in terms of popularity.
No, you're right. The heavyweight division is really shallow.
Pretty shallow.
And, if the UFC was considered booking Valentina and Eubanks, then anything's possible.
Yeah, Daniel Cormier could have fought Volkov in between the Brock Lesnar fight, and I think nobody would have really batted an eye. And
yeah,
it would have been one of those things. But they throw in Derek Lewis. We'll talk about that coming up. But Volkov could have won if he just last minute or so. Waited and just kept his.
But he threw a lazy jab and it cost him.
Or a low kick, actually. I think it was a low kick.
Yeah, it was a low kick. Yeah.
So Derek Lewis won the fight via knockout, brutal ground and pound. vicious right hand, and then had probably the best post fight
Yeah.
interview
That was
afterwards.
definitely the light of the event, considering what happened afterwards. But I think that
My
it's
balls are hot.
it's scary that though he's tired in the third round and how tired he is and pretty much winded, how he can still have that power in
That
his hand.
power.
Because most
Yeah,
guys lose it when they're tired.
yeah.
Derek Lewis possesses it no matter if he's fresh or he's tired. So it's that was kind of crazy to see
He's able
too.
to pull that rabbit out of the hat with that power. He just has that gift. But it's nice to see him win, pick up a win. He's I think he's like what 9-0 or
He's
not 9-1 now.
Yeah, he lost against who did he lose to?
Um,
He lost against was it Dos Anjos?
it might have been Dos Santos. I don't know.
Hmm.
Off the top of my head, I don't remember it. But it's been a while
Yeah.
because it's gone on a roll. But that was entertaining. Very entertaining post fight right there. Then we go right to Dominic Reyes and Oven St. Preux. Dominic Reyes looked amazing. It's great to see like a exciting contender in the light heavyweight division. Got a Latino guy from Victorville. Big guy,
and
right?
young. Yeah, he's fairly young because that 205 division's
Yeah.
the senior division.
Yeah. Big, young, strong Latino dude from Victorville. And look sharp
Yeah.
against the veteran Oven St. Preux.
Yeah, I mean a veteran that gave John Jones a run for his money.
Yeah.
When they fought. So really impressive victory by him. And
I mean, Reyes had showed some signs of like still being a little inexperienced and comfortable in the
green,
yeah. There's certain like even more experienced and more skilled veteran what could probably capitalize on some of his movements or some of his angles. But for the most part, he looked good. He put the pressure on Oven St. Preux throughout the entire fight. He looked great.
I agree.
Then you had Tony Ferguson, Anthony Pettis, probably the best fight on the card.
I think so.
I think got the most reactions from fans and also just casual people. Like the people I was watching with, they were like couldn't believe this fight. They were tripping out on how Tony looked like a freaking vampire the whole time. He looked so sunken in.
That's Tony.
Yeah, he looked different. He looked a lot more. He looked leaner. And
Yeah, he looked like how a fighter would look when they go on the scale for the first time.
yeah, he looked like he just cut weight. That's what he looked like. But that fight was crazy. I mean, nothing short of what we expected. A little bit more competitive than I thought. Really, I thought Tony was going to kind of steamroll over Pettis, but it was kind of a back and forth affair. You got some of Pettis' old flashiness here and there.
I mean, I give a nod to Anthony Pettis. He's been looking like more like his old self lately.
Yeah.
But I think anytime you give Anthony Pettis any kind of space, he becomes really flashy.
Yeah.
So with him, you got to kind of like close his distance real fast. And Tony Ferguson was doing it. I think he killed one in the first round. The second round, he
dominated.
Ferguson got rocked pretty hard. But
yeah,
Pettis couldn't answer the bell.
Yeah, with the broken hand, it was kind of
they called the fight out.
Yeah, Duke Rufus kind of went out and said that I'm not going to let you go out there with a broken hand. I think he saw that
two broken hands too.
Yeah, and I think he saw that it was affecting Pettis. He couldn't really do much, so he's like, "I'm not." Is it two broken hands?
That's what.
Yeah.
Said,
Okay. Yeah. So he
and a nasty cut above his eyebrow.
Yeah, and he was getting towards the end of that round, he was getting, dominated a little bit. He was taking a lot of shots, so it was kind of good in the corner. You don't see that too often, where a corner stops the fight for the fighter's safety. Doesn't happen. It should happen more often, but
it doesn't. Especially now because a lot of these fighters, they don't get like a base pay like Khabib and Conor, where they guaranteed money. So a lot of times that's the main reason why fighters don't want to call it quit or have the corner call it quit, because they rely on that win money or the win bonus. So
yeah.
But I agree. I think Pettis was going to lose that fight anyway. So might as well stop it before he got more damage.
Especially with two broken hands. And Tony looked great. I mean, I would say in the first round when Pettis threw the leg kick, it was a little dicey. Did you kind of cringe a little bit when he got hit with that kick, because it looked like it hurt him? Yeah. And I was like, okay, maybe people are immediately questioning whether he came back too soon. Like the commentators are like, oh, he doesn't look good taking that kick. I thought, I was like, okay, but no, he battled through it, and even though he got clipped at one point by Pettis with that right hand that broke, where Pettis broke his right hand, he still did how. I mean, Tony's so good about staying alert even when he gets rocked. It's so crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy his win streak and the guys that he's beating.
Yeah.
He's. I think he deserves the next title shot, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I think so too. But okay, so let's get into it. Okay, we want to break down the fight first, or the post fight?
No, the fight. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the fight.
Let's go with the fight. You give your take on it. You go first.
I mean, I thought would happen exactly what I thought was going to happen. I think with our fight picks, that's basically what I said was going to happen. And I think the most surprising thing about that fight was people were talking about, Connor's superior striking, yet Khabib landed the most significant shot in that fight. I think the second round was a 10-8 round by Khabib. I think Connor won the third, and then Khabib pretty much dominated that fourth and finished him. But I think it was going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
I think Khabib was looking for a clear victory, even if Connor didn't tap in the fourth round. So I thought it was a really impressive performance by Khabib and a very dominant one-sided fight by Khabib.
Yeah. I thought it was a little bit more competitive. Not that one-sided, but clearly a dominant win by Khabib. Yeah, I agree. The first round, I thought it was a little, Connor impressed me by his takedown defense and being able to stall Khabib up against the cage a little bit, not really allowing him to get too much off. And that was pretty much the end of the first round. Kind of, Connor lasted a little bit in the beginning on the feet, and then spent the rest of it on his back up against the cage. Second round was clearly Khabib's, especially that dominant ground and pound towards the end. It was pretty vicious. It was getting pretty dicey there. Even I think was it Herb Dean was the ref.
Yeah, he was saying
he was kind of looking to step in. I thought they might even call it at that point, but Connor lasted, went through it, and survived the round. Did the shot happen in the second?
Yeah, in the beginning of the second round.
Shot happened in the second. So I in my head, I don't remember if I brought it up on the show, but in my head, I thought I wouldn't be surprised if Khabib won by a knockout, because anytime you're dealing with a grappler and a striker, the striker is so worried about the takedown that he will sometimes lower his defenses and often get caught with an overhand right, where for the grappler it's right there, a lot of times.
But I think Connor wasn't worried about it because he was throwing a lot of kicks.
Yeah, but I think in the back of his mind, I think he was. I attribute it more to being surprised, because it wasn't it was a looping right hand, whereas I think
overhand right.
Overhand right. And I think, obviously the skill involved, and I'm sure they worked on that strike. Because if I was dealing with the grappler, I'd be like, he's going to be so worried about your takedowns. It might be there, so look out for it. But I attributed that. I don't put too much stock into that strike, because it was the one strike that was
the most significant strike.
It was the most significant strike, but it was also a typical strike that usually lands when you're dealing with that kind of two different fighters. So I didn't really put it too much into it. I took it more of a surprise, and Connor didn't really expect that from him. And then
I don't think anybody did.
Yeah, no, and I don't think anybody did. But I kind of, for me, I thought that was his best chance of actually knocking out Connor, is to catch him by surprise like that. And it came close, actually. And then the third round, I thought Connor won third with the striking. Khabib started to look like he was catching his breath a little bit in that fight, and I think the exhaustion was getting to him a little bit, so I think he wanted to lay off the groundwork. And then obviously we know what happened in the fourth. But the fight overall was pretty entertaining. It was more one-sided. It was definitely one-sided, but we kind of figured that might happen, dealing with the two best of what they do. So it was whoever's going to dominate, and that's what happened. It was not too much of a surprise.
Yeah.
Now the post fight. So Khabib gets the rear naked choke, or actually a neck crank, and ends up going straight over to.
He didn't want to let go at first.
Yeah, he didn't want to let go.
He had to peel him off.
He didn't want to let go. Went straight over. We all seen the video.
His head, and he pushes his head down.
Goes straight over. Yep. Throws a mouthpiece over at Dylan Dennis and Connor's team, and then hops the fence. And then all chaos ensues. I mean, we talked about this just before we recording. I think we're kind of somewhat in the same mindset in terms of how we're looking at this, and in that it doesn't two wrongs don't necessarily make the right. I think Khabib, it could have been really bad for Khabib because
It's a live event, yeah.
it's a live event. You have celebrities, you have public.
It could have been the whole Tyson thing, right? All over
Yeah,
again.
it could have been pretty bad for Khabib.
Although, even though there was fights that broke out,
Yeah.
with
Oh yeah,
Irish
yeah.
and the Russians, but that's just alcohol.
That happens all the time though. Yeah, especially in a fight like that. But
Where the emotions are really high.
yep. And but it could have been really bad. It was a culmination of the buildup for the last year or two, of just going back and forth with both these camps, altercations of different members of the team, words being exchanged, the bus incident, the handling of the bus incident by the UFC, the state of what the fans want and what the UFC is delivering nowadays with the entertainment era. It's just a snowball effect of everything. And the animosity between these two, it just exploded that night.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in a lot of ways, the trash talk, everything got to Khabib in a lot of ways, and took him out of his element and his normal way of being, and his emotions took over. And I don't fault him for that, but I also don't fault a lot of the other stuff. I don't condone it. It's not, obviously it shouldn't never happen, like with the bus incident, this brawl outside the cage. That stuff should not happen. But when you're dealing with two high level, highly stressed, fighters and camps that have so much tension built up over the last year or two, I mean, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think the UFC has lots to blame for it. Like, they're glorifying what had happened the year prior. I mean, with Conor in New York. But like I heard what you told me earlier from a lot of people are saying, like, Khabib, was too emotional, and most fighters will get emotional. But you gotta, like, separate Conor from the rest of the fighters. Like, he's not. He's a very religious human being. He's Muslim, and in his head, you don't. That's something you don't mess with. You don't.
Yeah.
Like, he takes that very really seriously, and of course his family. So when those two things are being disrespected, he doesn't care. Like, he's not like an American fighter or any fighter who just takes that as fight promotion. He takes that seriously.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't fault him, but he wasn't in the right, because it's just not him and the person that's disrespecting him. It's the fans who it could have turned really ugly. People could have been killed or badly injured. Thank God.
Imagine if Matt Damon got knocked out.
Or some shit like that. Well, I think Paul Pierce from an ex Celtic.
Yeah,
he got in a fight with some people.
Yeah, the governor of Nevada. The governor of Nevada had to be rushed out. It could have been really bad. Like the same way that Conor, when he threw that stuff through the window, the dolly through the window,
that could have been worse.
It hurt people. It could have been. This was like a lot worse. He had crowds close, like within 10 feet of the ring.
And I'm sure if it would have spread like wildfire, I think the Las Vegas Strip would have been a riot.
Imagine that. Chairs tossed everywhere, all that stuff.
Burning the buildings, or a lot of crazy things would happen. So thank God that there was security and police enforcement to make sure to contain what happened. But I mean, I think the UFC lucked out. I think Khabib lucked out. Yeah. That he didn't do anything even worse stupid, and to put not only his career at risk, but his freedom. Mm-hmm. But now we're waiting for the commission to see where for the punishment. I don't expect a big punishment. Yeah. But I think Khabib did a statement saying that, because there's talk that Dana White was going to cut the two of his teammates that were involved in the incident out of the UFC. So he's threatening to leave the UFC if they leave too. So
that just happened today.
Another layer of this story that's being added to.
Yep. So a lot of news came out today. Khabib put out a statement. Again, threatening to leave the organization if his two teammate fighters, brothers, whatever, get cut. These two are the ones that entered the cage and kind of went after Conor. So there's those two. Now he's threatening to leave. Also, the commission came out saying that both fighters are actually suspended, and there's a hearing later on this month for both two fighters.
Well, I think they said that there's going to be a hearing without the fighters to, I guess, to make a unified decision on what to do. I think the hearing for the fighters are going to be somewhere in November.
Oh, November. Okay.
Yeah, this hearing in October is just for the commission itself as a panel to be in unison for their decision on what to do.
And then you got to look at this thing. Okay, so going back to this incident, is there a level of let's see, what's the word? The fact that the UFC didn't punish Conor for his mistakes and with the Dolly incident and all the other stuff, and kind of that's a result of it too. Khabib, I don't think we were talking about. I don't think Khabib was anything. Nothing's going to happen. The UFC is not going to do anything to Khabib. Usually, the UFC leaves it in the hands of whatever authorities are overseeing the incident. In Conor's case, it was more so the police, and so Conor had obviously he's booked and charged, booked and released, and then you have the court system. He's got to pay fines, and he's got to he's
banned from New York.
Yeah, he's banned from MSG. Also, he's got suits going on with Chiesa and Bray Borg and all these others. So he's dealing with his own criminal stuff issues resulting of that. Khabib's situation is all in the hands of the commission, basically, and
because they have been in the live event in the jurisdiction.
Yes. So the fact that he's upset that the UFC is holding the money, the purse, it's not really UFC's fault. Commission's holding it, and everything that resulted in that fight. Suspensions, all that stuff, fines. It's UFC's leaving it in the hands of the commission, and that's where it's going to go. And the UFC's kind of staying out of it. I don't think the UFC would have done anything to Khabib. I don't think the UFC would cut his teammates if they didn't jump the cage, even with that brawl. I think it would have been fine. UFC would have even touched it and left it in the commission's hands like they're doing now. So
Dana White said that he isn't. Cut him.
Yeah, so we'll get to that right now. Okay, so when you're dealing with who's being the two teammates that are being cut and why Khabib's coming out arguing for their case, and I mean I see his point. Why punish my team when you didn't punish Conor's team? I can see that. There's obviously a clear favoritism going on in a lot of ways, but also it's something's got to happen to them. Because it wasn't a live event, it's a commission. The commission is expecting some type of repercussions for these guys, disobeying the boundaries of the cage.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think it's the same thing. Like when people complain about what referees refereeing one fight, it has nothing to do with the UFC. It's the commission that hires and fires these referees. Same thing with here. Like, and you're right. I can see Khabib's frustrations. I think there's a lot of frustrations with fighters that feel the same way that Conor gets treated. He's held in this kind of pedestal and he's untouchable. Yeah. At the same time, when you deal with this stuff inside the jurisdiction of the Nevada State Commission, you can't expect the UFC to get involved. Yeah. That's the commission's decision what's going to happen, not the UFC decision. So I think cooler heads will prevail once Dana White sits him down and talks. Look, it has nothing to do with us. It has to do with the commission. But I think Khabib wants justice for what happened in the past for Conor. But I mean, Conor, you're right. Conor already paid. He did his due. Yeah. He did community service, did what he had to do, and he's still dealing with it right now. So I think Conor has already dealt with. He already had that punishment already.
He's dealing with his punishment. Khabib, I think, is expecting.
You can't fault him. You can't fault him, and for what's happening or what he's thinking in his head.
Yeah, and I mean, he sees it from he thinks of things in a certain way, and he's expecting others to, feel sympathetic to his cause and to his reason for doing what he did. But that's the world works. You did the crime. You got to pay for it. Yeah. So, I mean, Conor paid. You got to pay too, Khabib.
Because he's trying to justify his actions by what happened.
Yeah.
But that's something, you're right. I mean, he has to he has to pay the piper. You're going to play that game.
Yeah, you played the
And-
Conor game, and you got to deal with the repercussions.
Yeah,
I mean, UFC's not going to do anything to you.
yeah.
They're not stripping you.
But
They're
I
not
think-
suspending you.
But I think right now Khabib is looking at
Taking it
everything
personal.
with red eyes, and it's just one sided.
Yeah.
I think when Dana White talks to him and says, "Look, it explains what we just talked about."
Yeah.
I think he has and he has nothing to be upset about. I mean, no one told his bros to come in there and
Yeah.
do what they. I mean, that's the consequences for what they did.
Not only that, one of them, I think it was the guy in the red shirt, later on posted on social media bragging that he got some shots on Conor.
Yeah, you know, stupid. Like,
You get. I think you have to cut that guy.
Yeah.
You have to set an example, at least for that guy, because he purposely did what he did. The other two, I could see being in there already, or like I don't know, like the one guy that Conor got a shot on. And I know Conor threw a first punch or one of the first punches, but when you got 3 Russians surrounding you and there's chaos, and you just lost a fight and you're exhausted, you're like a caged lion. You're looking all around and you see a bunch of Russians coming around you.
Oh yeah,
Shit.
Anybody in that situation would do what Conor did.
Yeah, you think, oh shit, they're jumping me. The Russians are fucking coming at us.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's all in self defense.
Yeah.
But I think knowing they should know that Conor does play by a different standard. That the UFC,
It's the biggest star in
Yeah.
the sport. Biggest star.
so they know that they're nobodies. They're
They're not.
peasants compared to Conor. So why even risk a job
Yeah.
by doing that? Like, do you think the UFC is gonna ignore that? No, of course not.
And let's say the UFC cuts Khabib. Is it a big loss for them? Is it?
I don't think so.
Would the ship still
The
keep
thing,
going? Yes.
I mean, like you can say it with anybody. I think the ship's always going to sail. I think there's always going to be falling stars,
Yeah.
and I think the UFC is always going to bounce back and find new stars. So you talk, it's the same thing with if Conor ever leaves, the UFC's done it with
You'll see.
either.
You'll see.
Yeah, like they're always going to survive. But I'm saying, I think with this situation, I think if Khabib does leave, it'll suck just because he's champion. So anybody that wins that bout.
You think he'll leave? You think he'll like follow through? I think he'll follow through with it for sure. But I think once they speak to each other, Dana and Khabib.
I think right now he'll leave, but I think if they have a meeting, I don't think.
I think Dana's gonna sit him down and be like, "Listen, we're not stripping you of your title. We're not suspending you. Not from us. We're not gonna do anything to you. We understand the situation here, but you got to understand that this is in the hands of the commission, and we have to set an example for your teammates that you can't have something's got to happen. So
maybe Dana puts a suspension and not a ban.
maybe, I mean, I can see for maybe the one in the black shirt, the guy in the black shirt, I would say a suspension. But the guy in the red shirt, I think you got to cut the guy in the red shirt.
I think because I think right now the money fight besides Conor and Khabib is Artem and the guy that he was in the fight. I think
Artem and one of the Russians.
That's the fight. That's a money fight right there.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, yeah.
It'll be chaos all over again.
It'll be chaos all over again. It's. I mean, but then you also have to take into account that there's a reality to things when you're dealing with the biggest star in the sport. You got to know that there's favoritism, that they have a little bit more pull over certain situations.
It's not right, but it's not right. It's a reality.
John Jones experienced the same stuff. You know, Rousey, she never really got into trouble, but John Jones had to deal with his stuff with commission and the police. UFC never did shit to him, and because he's one of the biggest stars in the sport. When you bring in money and you bring in revenue and viewers, it's power.
Yeah, you're untouchable on that point.
You're untouchable. So Conor's a superstar. Like people know who the world knows who Conor is.
I think the Mayweather fights is elevated his game.
Definitely. So,
and Conor's good for the sport as well.
And he is in a lot of ways. I think he
hate him or love him. I mean, because of him, I think our sport is where it's at right now.
It's where it's at right now, and guys are feeling more bold and
I think.
I mean, good and bad to get what they deserve.
I mean, we never thought a fighter would get like millions for a fight.
No,
and Conor made it happen.
Conor made it happen. He got Khabib the biggest payday, I'm sure, of his entire career, and this is just a disclosed amount. This is not even like all the other stuff that they're getting from pay-per-view revenue and everything. Yeah. It's $2 million straight out. Khabib never had that kind of money, so it's.
You can't deny the star power.
And we saw the video of Khabib's
Khabib conspiracy.
conspiracy. So The title of the video, I played it for you earlier. And
Dangerous Minds or Dangerous Game.
Dangerous game, right? Could be.
Yeah.
So there's a video out there that going in depth in terms of I don't know how Connor exposed. Let me see how Connor exposed Khabib Nurmagomedov conspiracy. So it's by Unbeliever Media. It's a crazy video. It goes in depth in terms of the connection. So if the press conference, the first press conference, Connor was out there saying a lot of stuff. So they pieced together a lot of it, and there's a video piecing together everything that Connor laid out and talking to Khabib, bringing up Ali Abdelaziz, calling him a terrorist. They tell you why, and they also connect Khabib to a lot of, say, dangerous Russian intention. It pretty much explaining that whole press conference and all this stuff that Connor was talking. People were confused. This video explains it all, and it's pretty dark, and it's pretty.
It's laid out.
It's laid out, and it's dealing with some dangerous people, and it's deep in the sport.
It's totally Eddie Bravo Avenue right there.
Oh yeah, even I mean, not even so much a conspiracy. If you know anything about the sport and know a little bit about Ali Abdelaziz, if you his work with the the LFA was it World Series, AKA and their dealings with him and all the Russian team fighters, and it just pieces everything together. Verdum and how he has connections with the Chechen dictator, and how that guy is central to everything. And it's just and his grasp on the sport is so tight, and it's like he's seeping into it, and it kind of lays it all out. And it's something that we talked about in the past, and we're wondering why or when people were going to start talking about this, because this is a very dangerous, very controversial figure that's kind of seeping his way into the sport, and this kind of lays it all out in a lot of ways.
Yeah, interesting.
Really crazy stuff. I don't know where else to talk about. So there's that. There's the commission hearing that's coming up. What do you think is next for either two of these fighters? Let's say Khabib gets a 6-month suspension. I think let's say they both get 6-month suspensions.
I think
Khabib
the rematch
gets
has to
fined.
happen. I think there's too much money on the table for it not to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately for Tony, I think Tony is the deserving guy to get it, but we all know that's not going to happen.
Do you think it happens in Vegas? Do you think they're hesitant about doing the fight
No,
again?
I think it happens in Vegas.
Yeah.
It can happen in New York because Connor's man, so it's going to happen. It's the fight capital of the world. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to happen in Vegas. Anywhere
Yeah.
else won't make any sense.
And I mean, what are the options for either two if this fight doesn't go down? Khabib and Ferguson, Connor and Ferguson, Diaz and McGregor, Diaz and Khabib.
I think it should be, if that fight doesn't go to fruition, I think it should be Khabib and Ferguson. It's only fair. And have Connor do the trilogy fight with Nick Diaz.
Yeah, I would like that. If this fight doesn't happen right away, I would like that. But this
It's going to happen.
This fight hasn't happened. I'd say sometime around this time next year, I say this fight happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be
once
all the dust
the
settles.
story. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's the fight to make.
Yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. We're also there's a lot to get to. John Jones and Gustafsson 2. I think it's UFC 232 or 230.
230.
230. Is it New York card?
Yeah.
Yeah. That fight is confirmed. Gustafsson and Jones. You surprised by the matchup, and I think it's is it for the interim?
Yeah.
Lightweight,
No, it's not. It's December. December
232.
Yeah.
UFC
December.
232.
Yeah. I mean, it's like once the fighters are. I mean, once the punches are thrown, I think DC will get shipped to his title. I think DC is okay with that. I think DC had mentioned that he was upset by it, but he said that once that he's guaranteed the winner of that fight.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good fight. I think this is the biggest fight for both guys. I think it's a long-awaited rematch that we wanted to see for a long time, and it's for the belt.
Yeah.
I think it's really good booking on the UFC's part. It's a fight that everyone wants to see, and I think it's the most exciting fight to make at 205 right now.
Yeah, and I know Gustafsson is going to come in ready. I'm curious as to how Jones is going to look. If he's going
because Jones, looks like a monster in every fight because of his reach. He's fighting a guy with the same reach. So
and he's going to be tested and monitored like crazy for this fight. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of Jones we see in the cage against his toughest matchup stylistically, I think, against Gustafsson.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting.
It's a great fight.
And then there's the drama with UFC 230. You have Diaz and Poirier fight is scrapped. Poirier out with the undisclosed injury. You have the Valentina Shevchenko fight and the Eubanks fight scrapped and moved back to UFC 232, I think, in Toronto, or 231. And Valentina is now rebooked with Joanna. So there's that. And then there's the booking of Daniel Cormier and Derek Lewis in the light heavyweight title belt. So a lot of stuff going on with the card.
Around.
Yeah, a lot of stuff shuffling around with the card that's like several weeks away, just a couple of weeks away.
I mean, I think it's good. I think the UFC heard the public outcry with Eubanks and Valentina. I think that fight for main event, and doesn't make any sense at all, especially in New York. It sucks for Eubanks because he's not getting that title shot or that pay-per-view, that championship money.
Yeah.
So it sucks for her. I think earlier this year, Joanna did a statement saying how she was upset with the UFC for pretty much booking that fight and not having her included.
Did you see Eubanks' statement?
Yeah, and I agree with Eubanks. I mean,
calling Dana a coward.
It's like it's like dangling a carrot, and then once you have that carrot, you take it out.
Yep.
And then it sucks for her. Unfortunately for her, it sucks, but for us, I think it's a way better fight. I think there's history between Valentina and Joanna. I think Valentina beat her in the kickboxing bout, so I think this is a tough test for Joanna. She's coming off 2 losses against Rose. I think this is a more natural way for Joanna, but she's gonna be the smaller fighter. I pick Valentina for that fight. With DC and Lewis, I mean, Brock's still not ready to come back. He's still dealing with USADA. You can't have the heavyweight. Like he's pretty much holding 2 divisions.
Yeah.
If Alexander and Jones are going to go at it, the heavyweight title has to be defended. And hey, Lewis is on a 9-1 record right now with the UFC.
Yeah,
he's the most deserving fighter considering how he looks in the cage. And I think it's going to be. I think the fact that it's a heavyweight title that's in the South fights. I don't know. It's a better fight than Valentina and Eubanks. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with all the fights. Unfortunately for Eubanks, he's getting a shit end of the stick.
Yeah. And same with Joanna too. Taken away, title shot taken away, given back. Valentina just has.
She was a darling for the UFC, so I think Dana White kind of felt bad for her and gave her the opportunity. But Eubanks is a nobody for the casual fans, and even some hardcore fans don't know about her. So,
and I think Eubanks got rebooked with Roxanne Modafferi, I think, on the undercard.
Yeah. Oh my God. She better be getting paid.
She better getting paid. And I don't know how her situation, the relationship with the UFC is going to be now, because she did come out saying spitting fire on Twitter. So I don't know how that's going to go over well in negotiations.
Dana White's going to fucking like once she loses a couple fights, she's
goodbye. Yes, exactly. Also, I feel bad for Bellator. You got 2 events this weekend, and no one's talking about this shit.
2 big events.
You got 2 big events. I mean, 2.
I just found out about this shit yesterday.
Yeah, 2 fights that I think we've all been looking forward to, and just realized that it's this weekend.
Yeah, it sucks.
It really does. Bellator 207 is actually on the 12th. That's Friday. So Mitrione and Bader are first.
It's crazy because the Conor fight happened last Saturday, but people are still talking about it today.
Still talking,
and we're on Thursday of this week. It's crazy.
Yeah, because stuff keeps coming out and just keeps on rolling.
Developments and all that stuff.
So the Bellator 207 card is in Ucansville, Connecticut, Mohegan Sun Arena. It's the heavyweight Grand Prix semifinals. Matt Mitrione, Ryan Bader. You have Sergey Karatanov versus Rory Nelson. That's a great fight. Lorenzo Larkin versus Ian Pascu. Kevin Ferguson Jr. is on there.
Great main card.
Yeah, great main card. You have a couple of alums from the show. Janae Harding is on there. So you have let's see. Let's go with this one. So let's just go with the main card on the main fight, Mitrione and Bader. Who do you have?
I had Bader. I think he's the dark horse in this tournament, but at the same time, he's a favorite without people really saying it. People are saying that he's a favorite anyways, but I think he takes down Mitrione at will. I think he ground and pounds him, and he wins this fight via victory. I mean, via unanimous decision.
Yeah, I agree. So that fight this is the weekend. I'm gonna go with Bader. I think he's a favorite to pretty much take it all. You have PFL this weekend in Long Beach, and then you have Bellator 208 also on Saturday. Fedor versus Sonnen. This is a big fight. This is what's supposed to be their biggest fight of the year for Bellator, and it's being overshadowed because everybody's still talking about 209 or 229. You have Henry Corrales on the card. You have Alexander Shemenko on the card. You have Czech Congo, Sada Wada versus Benson Henderson in the co-main event, which that's a great fight. I want to see that. I can't wait for that one. And then you have Fedor Emelianenko versus Chael Sonnen in the heavyweight Grand Prix semifinal. So we're going to know who the finalists are for the main event, the Grand Prix after this weekend. Who do you have for this one?
I really want to see Chael win, but I don't see him going past Fedor. I think Chael's strength is obviously his grappling, but Fedor is really great off his back, and he's a hard puncher. I mean, I don't see Chael winning this fight in any way, and I like Fedor to win. I mean, I'm picking Fedor.
I think the power definitely goes with Fedor. I mean, he's still a dangerous guy that swings like hell. I think he could definitely hurt Chael. That's a tough one because Chael looked pretty good so far the last couple times, and
yeah, but look who he fought, Rampage.
He fought Rampage, a slow, fat Rampage. Yeah, I'll go Fedor. I could see Chael being smart, avoiding any like really big shots, using his boxing or even just using his wrestling.
I totally picked Chael if
people are writing
if Fedor's grappling wasn't good, but Fedor's grappling is really good.
Yeah,
I think it's as good or better than
his takedown defense is pretty good too.
Yeah,
I'll probably go. I think Fedor has a lot more tools to win this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if Chael makes it all the way.
No, me neither. But I think Fedor's gonna come with it.
And both of these fights are DAZN on DAZN, Paramount and DAZN.
Is it on Paramount too?
I think prelims are on Paramount and then DAZN. So
I was going to record the main
event. Yeah. So if you have DAZN, you guys should.
Periscope. You can.
Or if you have Periscope, you could do that too. So those two cards of this weekend. Yes, Combates has their tournament. The main event fell out. I don't know if you saw that.
Annoying post.
Yep. They're this weekend. Who else? PFL in Long Beach. A lot of fights, but Bellator's got their biggest fights of the year, and hopefully you guys watch it. I don't know if anybody's gonna really watch this one, but it's unfortunate that they're so close to 229. But that's our show. I want to thank you guys for watching, listening on YouTube, or watching on YouTube, listening on iTunes. Make sure you subscribe and download at MMAComplex.com.
You can follow the show on social media. You can follow us on Twitter, MMA Complex James for myself, MMA Complex Josh. You can follow the show on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all under one name, the MMA Complex.
Shirts are up.
Yeah, shirts are up too. Yeah, so go on the website, go under our apparel. $20 gets you a nice MMA Complex shirt.
Actually, less. 15.
Less. $15.99.
Hey, $15.99 for an MMA Complex shirt.
So it'd be great gift for the holidays. Holidays are coming, so buy that shirt. Support the show. Give us a 5-star rating if you listen on iTunes. It helps the show get noticed. And yeah, 2 big fights for Bellator. Unfortunately for them, no one knows about it. But Josh and I will try to break down all the action on the next week's episode. So until then, enjoy the fights and enjoy your week.